Hello and welcome back to another FPL video, and in this video obviously I'm going to be talking about my transfer plans ahead of game week 36. Now we finally get a nice little break, no more one day off. We've got a nice 5 days to recover, to really plan our transfers for this game week, and whoever got any knocks or any slight injuries, at least they've got longer to recover, so we have to find out more details towards the end of the week on who's really available for that game week. And finally, I've not gone for any Man City players in this video. Now, I know they have a nice double in game week 37, but one, I don't trust Man City at all anymore anyway, and two, they've got Real Madrid tonight and again next week, so they've got them in between the Everton fixture. And if obviously it doesn't go great tonight against Real Madrid, I'm not 100% certain he's going to start many of his starts against Everton, especially as they have a nice little gap against Arsenal in this Premier League title, so he might rest a fair few of his star players. So a bit of a worry on that one, so that's why I'm probably going to avoid Man City players for this game week. So the first player I'm going to mention here is Martin Odegaard of Arsenal. Now this guy has been unbelievable this season, outstanding. Considering at the start of the season, even when he had a little bit of decent form, a lot of people, Arsenal fans, FPL people, were saying there's no point going for Odegaard, he's not going to continue it. He's the guy who passes to the assister, and he doesn't really score enough goals. Well, this season, 15 goals and 8 assists. I like to think people now realise how good this guy is. He's been phenomenal. A goal again against Newcastle at the weekend. Now, it might be a slight surprise because they've not gone for a player who's got a double game week here. So Arsenal don't have any more double game weeks till now and to the end of the season. So they've literally just got the 3 fixtures of Brighton, Forest and Wolves to the end of the season. Now I've got to admit, these fixtures are pretty decent to be fair. Now Brighton, they've just been battered 5-1 by Everton, so whether or not they reply with a win against Arsenal, I'm not so sure. It's the end of the season, they're not in a relegation battle, so they might just let their foot off the gas and just maybe go home a bit early. I don't know, you never know, they could fire back, but either way, he's not like a defender, he's not a goalkeeper, so it doesn't matter if Arsenal don't win this game. It's all about as long as if Odegaard would score a goal in that game. Can he score a goal, get an assist in that game? I think he can against Brighton. So that's why I'd definitely recommend him. And like I said, the other 2 fixtures, they're pretty decent as well. So, I mean, I know a lot of double game weekers have some tough double game week fixtures. So obviously Brighton, theirs is horrible. Chelsea, theirs is horrible. Man United's is decent. Man City's is obviously decent because it's Man City, but you just don't know which Man City player is going to play, so that's another problem. So yes, you could go for a guy who's got a double game week, but he might not even play in them. So Martin Odegaard, he's a shoe-in, he's always going to start, he's their captain, so that's why I think maybe he could be a good little buy to now until the end of the season. So the next player I'm going with here is Isak of Newcastle, so I am going for a double game week player here. I feel like Newcastle's double game week is pretty decent to be fair, and then game week 37 and 38 I think they're both winnable games as well as. So obviously Lee's game is up first. Now yes, Sam Allardyce may be in charge, and he had not the worst result against Man City. It was only, was it 2-1 in the end or something, but they were really lucky to be fair. Man City missed a penalty, Haaland missed about 7 or 8 chances where on another day he'll get 5 goals. I think overall Man City were unlucky to score just a couple of goals against Leeds, and Leeds were very, very lucky. And I can't see him changing much around, to be honest. That defence is still shocking for Leeds, and I do think Newcastle will get a few goals, regardless of it being at Ellen Road. And their other double game week fixtures, obviously Brighton at home. Now that's a much tougher fixture for Newcastle, but they did just get beat 5-1 Brighton, obviously to Everton, so maybe they might not have turned things around by then. We'll yet to see. Obviously we'll find out, because Brighton do have another fixture beforehand, because they also have a double game week. But we'll have to wait and see in that one. But I do think Newcastle could score in that game. And obviously that's, when you're picking a striker, it's all about whether they can score. And 37 Leicester, they're all over the place right now. They shouldn't have hired Dean Smith. He's not a good enough manager anyway. And yet again, he's proven that by letting 5 goals in against Fulham. So I do think Newcastle can score a fair few goals in that game. And Chelsea, they're not very good anymore. Particularly at the back, I think Newcastle can score. They can't keep clean sheets, Chelsea, really. So I do think the Newcastle will score in that game as well. Obviously, you got the only issue with Isak is, will he start? That is a big problem, because obviously at times he'll start Wilson instead of Isak. or the other way around. And then sometimes he'll start both up front together. So it's a real tough one. I'm slightly leaning towards Isaac. I think he's been great since he's come to the Premier League, to be fair. Fortunately, he's had a few injuries, but 10 goals in his first season. I think that's a pretty decent return, considering I think he joined in like January time. So he's been pretty sensational, I think, for Newcastle this season, considering the injuries. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, obviously. But when he has started on the bench, he has come on and scored. So you do have that in your head as well. And he is definitely somebody I'm personally going to think about bringing into my team, because I do think, even past game week 36, 37 and 38, I think Newcastle can score some goals in these games. So that's why I think he's a very desirable pick. So then my final player I'm going to recommend here is Trent Alexander-Arnold of Liverpool, which might be a surprise because, again, just like Odegaard of Arsenal, Liverpool do not have a double game week this week or until the end of the season. So they've only got the 3 fixtures left. Now, in game week 36, the only 2 teams that are doubling is Newcastle, and I recommended obviously Isaac. And if you only have 1 Newcastle player, I definitely recommend going for 3. But with Brighton, I have 2 myself. I'm not going for a third. They've got Newcastle, but before that they've got Arsenal, and both of them are away fixtures. That is pretty horrible, to be fair. And I just don't see where the points will come from, because up front for Brighton, you don't know who's going to start. I don't see any clean sheets at the back. So you're looking at midfield, and obviously so much might be out for that game week. So I'm only comfortable really with 2 Brighton players right now, so that's why I'm not recommending any Brighton players. Now, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's been in the form that we expected at the start of the season. I think he's got like 7 returns in the last 7 games. Now, obviously, that does include clean sheets. So even now, I think there's only a couple clean sheets in that. So the guy's been in great form. He's got 10 assists for this season now. So I think he's finally picking it up where he left off last season. Only the 1 goal, but we don't expect really goals as much as we do assists when it comes to Trent. So to get 10 assists for a right back or right wing back, whatever he's called, is pretty decent, to be fair. And then you look at game week 36, he's got Leicester. Now, Leicester, like I've just said, they conceded 5 against Fulham the other day. They've been absolutely shocking at the back. They're leaking goals left, right and centre. And like I said, I don't agree with their appointment of their new manager anyway. So I do think Liverpool just run right against Leicester. And obviously, I'd see Trent getting the goals. Well, not as much as the goals. I think getting assists and a clean sheet in this game. Obviously, 37 is a slightly tougher game for Liverpool. Well, it's a big game for Liverpool because they're around the same place as Aston Villa. But it is at Anfield, and I do think Liverpool will do them there. And then finally, to have Southampton as your last game of the season. Obviously, they're already down at this point, so I feel like Liverpool will just run riot. I can see this being a comfortable victory for them. So I can easily see 3 clean sheets in these 3 games for Liverpool. I mean, the Villa one will be a bit tougher, and maybe Liverpool could get a goal. But either way, I think you'll get returns in all 3 games, and it will make it 10 returns in 10 games at the end of the season. So that's why I'm definitely going to recommend Trent Alexander-Arnold in your team. And there you have it. So those are the players who I'm recommending for game week 36. Now, obviously, I didn't mention Man City because I don't trust them. Man United, I definitely recommend some of them if you want them. But Brighton, I'm just not comfortable right now. If you want Newcastle, definitely go Newcastle. Chelsea, yes, they've got a double in 37, but avoid their horrible fixtures as well. But yeah, I do hope you like this video, and please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.